No! 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 What the hell are you doing out here, Fred? How did you get out here? Fred, if you're real, you better tell me right now. If you're real, you better tell me right now. Damn it, Fred! Damn it!
Greetings, Earthlings, and welcome to the 11th episode of FTL Radio. I have destroyed Chris as the host of this show, and now I, Jacob, will be hosting. With me on the line, though, is the Chris reincarnate. How are you, buddy?
Who am I?
I have no idea.
Where am I?
You are on FTL Radio.
I've heard of that. That's the SyFy radio podcast, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay, cool. I could do that. Yeah.
All right, cool. So, how's your week going?
So far, so good. It's Monday. I mean, how good can a Monday be? No, it's not bad, actually.
That's good. The benefit to Monday is now Monday is over, so that means tomorrow is Tuesday.
Exactly. I'm playing hockey later tonight, so that's even better. Anyway.
Yeah, we're recording an hour early so that Chris can go to the ice time places of the world and go skate for an hour or two at 10 o'clock at night.
Hey, man, you got to do what you got to do, and thank you for your flexibility.
No, whatever. That's 3 weeks in a row. We've been flexible, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
But, So yeah, you know, we've got some stuff we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about a little bit of news, a little bit of real science, a little bit more rumors, and then, as promised from last week, the topic we're going to close on is, if we meet aliens, are they going to be humanoid? Or is that just because humans lack creativity when it comes up to imagining what aliens are? Or is humanoid, the bipedal method, probably the way it's going to be? So we'll talk about that a little later, but first is a little rumor coming out that it looks like Warner Bros. Is looking to reboot I Am Legend.
Yeah, I don't know if I want anything to do with that. Didn't the movie just come out like 4 years or 5 years ago or something like that?
No, it came out in 2007.
Oh, okay.
So,
But still, a reboot from a movie that came out in 2007, that's still like... give it at least 10 years for a reboot. Come on.
Well,
be respectful.
Wasn't there a Superman movie and then they rebooted Superman?
Yeah, it's because all the Superman movies suck.
Now.
There's a reason they keep rebooting it.
Okay. So anyway, they all things considered, the I Am Legend movie that came out in 2007 with Will Smith actually made $585 million on a $150 million budget.
Yeah, I could see it. It was a huge profile movie.
Which is crazy because it was such a simple movie.
It was, but it was its simplicity that made it so terrifying. It was New York City abandoned.
Yeah, did you ever see, it was that Tom Hanks movie Castaway?
Yeah.
It was kind of that kind of a storyline, where you're acting with yourself.
Exactly. The world effectively at this point is all taken over by this virus. There are monsters that come out at night and hide in the dark. And Will Smith is the only human being on the island of Manhattan. Mm-hmm. And he's got a dog. The spoiler alert, the dog dies. And that is still heartbreaking to this day. Maybe he lives in the reboot. Does he live in the reboot?
So that's the thing is, I don't know if it's a reboot so much as a continuation.
The article says reboot.
Well, yeah, but they can call anything a reboot.
Yeah, but if it's a sequel, it's a sequel, it's different. I would a sequel is fine, but a reboot means that they're going to have a different actor, they're going to maybe tweak the script a little bit, but it's going to be the same general story.
No, I don't think it's the same general story. I think it's going to be a different character within this universe. I think they're trying to take this universe and make it something. I could be totally wrong. It could be a true reboot, but I didn't get the feeling that they're literally going back to the same story.
Okay.
I didn't get that read.
Well, here's the thing. If they don't just try to replay the same story over again, as horrifying as that world was, it's a world that's going to attract people to come back to it. It was interesting, and it was for that Castaway reason. A lot of these post-apocalyptic movies, they go so big with it. But this wasn't big. This was a story about a dude and his dog trying to effectively, I mean, he has this, his blood, I guess, for those of you who haven't seen it, Will Smith's character, his blood has he's one of the few percentage of people that does not get affected by this virus that's wiped out the human race effectively. So he's trying to, I guess, initially he's just trying to survive, but then as the story goes on, he meets someone and then tries to figure out how to get to some place and get a cure, basically, for this disease.
Yeah, no, that's definitely pretty much exactly what the movie is. Now, what's interesting is this is based on a script or a novel, I guess, titled "A Garden at the End of the World" by Gary Graham, and I guess it was like his first thing he ever wrote, and Warner Brothers was like, "It's ours now." Bye. So I mean, it should be interesting. Like I said, because it's based on something different. It's not based on the I Am Legend book that was written back in that was published back in 1954. Because it's not that, I think it might be a slightly different story within that universe. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. That movie scared the shit out of me.
It was, you know what? The scares weren't scary. Just the whole, like, you sort of get that image when you start to think about, not to bring this to real world crap, but the Ebola stuff that's going on right now. Sure, it's not a virus that turns people into zombies or whatever, but if it could wipe out the population like that and turn Manhattan into basically what was effectively not just a concrete jungle, but an actual jungle, I mean, that prospect alone was terrifying. And the way, you're right, the way that movie did Scary was perfect, because it wasn't a lot of jump scares. It was just constant tension.
Well, because you never really knew what was happening.
Yeah.
You could not predict. I mean, there were some parts, the guy would go inside into a dark place and then, would run out and the monsters / vampires would come after him and then burn. Like, so there were some scary parts there. Like, you knew that was going to happen. But for the most part, you really just had no idea.
Yeah. It was not like following any script per se.
Yeah. So anyway, that should be interesting. I have no idea when it's going to come out. I don't have any idea if it's even going to come out. You never know. Maybe, Warner Brothers might go, forget this.
Do you think that Will Smith will make a cameo in the reboot?
No, Will Smith is dead.
You didn't get my segue, man. Come on.
Oh.
See, that was good, right?
Oh, that was that an attempt at a voice too?
Fuck you. That was Shatner.
That was not Shatner. So anyway,
I'm not great at voices.
That's okay. William Shatner, and we this has been rumored for a while. William Shatner is returning to the Star Trek universe. He is going to play Captain Kirk in Star Trek 3. How the hell they're going to do that?
Well, I mean, they already established the two timelines,
They did. So that's kind of interesting. So anyway, he was answering some questions, I guess, in some sort of interview, and the question came up, and he answered, so the news is out that they have an idea that they want Leonard and myself. They might want Leonard and myself in it, but I would love to do it. But how do you get me 50 years later into the movie? I mean, how do you rationalize it? I know it's science fiction, but even I couldn't come up with an idea. Well, so that's the news on that.
I don't know. They'll figure it out. And even if he's just a cameo role or something, well, I don't know. I don't know how they're going to do it. But frankly, they got Leonard in, and that worked. So I don't see why they couldn't try to get Kirk in.
It worked, but I always kind of hated those two universe kind of stories.
I guess, but it comes down to the execution at that point. Because you're right. It's kind of it's playing with fire at that point when you're talking about different timelines or different dimensions. Because the plot holes that you open just by introducing those aspects can just drown you before you start.
Now, you know what's a good show that did these two universes really well was Fringe. Have you ever seen Fringe?
I've never seen Fringe.
All right. Fringe is... So, when Victoria and I started dating, we watched... I don't remember what the first show we watched together, but we did the whole binge watching.
Yeah.
After that, we were looking for a new show to watch, and my mom had told me about this TV series called Fringe. Now, Fringe is awesome because it was created by J.J. Abrams, Alex Kurtzman, and Roberto Orci. Wow. Roberto Orci happens to be doing some Star Trek. J.J. Abrams did Star Trek and is now doing Star Wars. So, we're talking a pretty solid science fiction cast.
Yeah, like a all-star team of science fiction. Yeah.
Yeah. So they had basically what the story is about is it's about this division in the FBI called Fringe Division, where they work on these weird cases, and it's kind of a mix of the X-Files, Altered State, and the Twilight Zone.
Okay.
Oh man, but I'm telling you, this show was awesome.
It sounds awesome.
Dude,
what network was it on?
I don't even remember. I didn't see. The thing is, I didn't watch it on network TV. I watched it on
Netflix.
And just
it's on Netflix.
Dude, it's on Netflix.
All right, I'm logging out now. Podcast over. We're gonna watch Fringe.
Dude, I'm telling you, like, it has Leonard Nimoy in it. It has, like, it's just and you have this one character, Walter Bishop, who is this old guy who goes to an insane asylum.
Okay.
But then as the show goes on, you start, realizing that he has effectively made the connection to a parallel universe. So whereas he plays in his universe, Walter Bishop is this kind of fun-loving, kind of crazy, but kind of, he's like your crazy Uncle Walter.
Yeah.
But then in the alternative universe, Walter Bishop is the Secretary of Defense, real strict, real stern, will kill anything that gets in his way to save his people.
And it's well done.
It's amazing, to the point that Victoria wants to watch it over and over again.
Okay, I'm giving this a watch. I mean, I'm looking at it right now. It was just finished up in 2008 to 2013. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna watch this show. It sounds really, really awesome.
Dude, I'm telling you, it's so good.
It was shot in Canada, which is irrelevant, but it was shot in Canada.
And they're just like, Victoria and I will see the characters pop up on commercials. Like one of them is what's his name? Broyles. I don't know who plays him. But he pops up on a regular basis, and he's just the actor is Lance Reddick. He's just so cool.
Lance Reddick.
And he's such a stern character, but then you see he smiles sometimes. He's got a goofy smile. It's just a fun show. Watch it. But they do that two universe thing perfectly. Mm-hmm. Like, perfectly. And the show is just amazing, and it starts at the great time. It starts and it ends. My opinion on stories that need to start and end at their rule.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Chris, what you'll do is you'll watch the first season, and we'll do a little bit of a review. We can review it, try and get people to watch it with us.
Yeah.
But no, it's a good show.
No, I'm excited to watch it. I've heard of it, but I never knew the plot of it. It was on Fox. I just looked.
Yeah.
So yeah, to see a thing. Well, first of all, J.J. Abrams, everyone that you named right there is, like I said, an all-star cast for science fiction. And if they did that sort of a theme well, that could be really, really cool. Yeah,
for sure. And it really, I loved it, man. I was all over it. So yeah, give it a watch, and we'll try it out. But yeah, going back to William Shatner, that's this is what we're talking about. It's that dual universe thing that I'm not so sure about. But they have done it all right in Star Trek. It's minimal enough.
It's not the overarching plot. I guess it kind of is, but it's not in your face all the time. It's like, oh yeah, dual universes every now and then.
Exactly. So as long as they keep it that way, I'm fine with it. If they try to make William Shatner, and I get the feeling that, and this is where it makes me a little nervous, I get the feeling that William Shatner is as egotistical as it comes.
You'd be correct, sir. I believe he is. He has a one-man show in Vegas. It doesn't get much more egotistical than that.
So, and I almost feel like he's not going to be willing to do a cameo kind of thing. He's going to be like, no, you have to make me the main character. Well, Captain Kirk is the main character, just the young Captain Kirk.
I'd be totally fine if he had about as big a role as Leonard Nimoy did in that first Star Trek movie.
No, I'm with you on that.
But more than that, I don't think I'd want to see, because again, you're not the star of the show. The star of the show is that new guy. I can't think of his name right now, but he played Kirk really, really well.
He did a good job. So, anyway, I don't know when that movie's coming out. It'll probably come out in the next year or two, so it'll be cool. And if we find anything else out about that, we'll let you know. Let's see. Moving on.
Battlestar Galactica. Well, sort of.
No, not even close.
Well, Trisha Helfer.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Who, by the way, is gorgeous.
Yes, she is. And nerdy.
Yeah, she's
legitimately nerdy.
Yeah. So anyway, the excuse me, the trailer for the upcoming sci-fi mini-series Ascension, the first trailer just came out a couple days ago. And it's real short. It's 30 seconds.
But it's nice. It's quick and to the point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and especially when you don't have to watch 3 minutes of ads before watching the 30-second video.
Yeah, it's really great that way. What's looking exciting about this is, so this takes place in 1963. The U.S. government launches this covert space mission that basically their goal is to send hundreds of men and women and children to a new planet because, we're going to destroy the Earth anyways.
Yeah. Thinking ahead.
Yeah, thinking ahead. So this takes place 50 years later. But unlike on Earth, where we have a ton of change and innovation and all that, they still dress like it's the 1960s. They still have guns like it's the 1960s. So it's a 1960s modern-day sci-fi show drama.
That's kind of fascinating.
Yeah.
And so I guess the whole thing takes place on this ship that's flying through space towards its destination.
Yeah, pretty much. And they're basically at the point of no return. Like, they're about the midway point.
Yeah.
And, they could turn around, but turning around would not make sense. I mean, if it was me, I've gone 50 years this way, I'm not turning around.
Yeah, exactly. Well, plus most of the people that would make the decision to turn around would be dead by the time they got there.
Yeah. So, yeah, and that's the point, So basically it's they're going to this new planet to set it up. And it's only going to be a 6-hour miniseries, I think this is SyFy is going to be testing out whether it works or not.
See, I like that. It sounds like they have a story to tell, and they're going to tell it in a 6-hour-long miniseries. Wow! So each episode is going to be an hour.
Yeah, but here's the thing: is if it does well, they'll probably pick it up for additional episodes.
Yeah,
which I'm not against. What's important to me is that this 6-hour miniseries tells a complete story.
Yeah, exactly.
If it tells the complete story and they want to continue in that universe, that's fine. But I don't want them to be doing any cliffhangers like, oh, we're really trying to get that 7th episode. You better give it or fans are going to be upset. No.
Yeah, it's such a tough thing because especially when we're talking about like Sci-Fi Network and producing real hard sci-fi shows, you kind of don't care how they do it, but at the same, because if that's what it takes to get people interested in science fiction, I don't know. But I agree with you. I'm with you 100%. I'm just kind of talking from the other side of it, the business side of it.
Oh, yeah.
It makes sense maybe on one end of the spectrum to have that story or have new episodes of that story in mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the feeling that I get from the show is it's going to be the Mad Men in space. I mean, and think about it. I mean, it makes
yeah.
There's going to be a murder. There's going to be drama between the captain and his wife. There's probably going to be marital problems.
Yeah, well, and that kind of brings up my question is, where's this? I mean, I get the sci-fi is the setting, but is sci-fi going to be any part of the story?
No, but that's the thing.
It's going to be human stories in space.
Pretty much.
Oh, okay. Well, I can get behind that.
But I mean, that's kind of what anything science fiction is.
Yeah.
It's the human story within...
It is, but I mean, if these people are confined to the spaceship, the only sci-fi elements would be them being on a spaceship and interacting with parts of the spaceship. They're not like Star Trek where they're going to different planets and interacting with the creatures on the planet. It sounds like it's going to be sort of bottled. They're going to be in this own sort of microcosm thing.
No, and that's definitely true. But I mean, I'm okay with that. What would be interesting is
if it's well done, human stories. I mean, that's part of the reason why Game of Thrones is so interesting because yes, it does take place and there is a lot of interaction with that fantasy scenario. But at the end of the day, it's all these human stories that take place in that.
Right, absolutely. Definitely. So anyway, that show is going to debut in November. So yeah, it should be pretty cool. And we'll definitely watch it and review it along the way.
Yeah, well, we'll put up the trailer. You can check it out for yourself. It's 30 seconds. It's worth a watch, and it kind of gets right to the point of the story. It's good.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So our first step to getting, humans to another planet to colonize is to get to the next planet, and that planet is Mars. According to some reports, NASA is eyeing deep. Let's see, they're going to be using potentially deep sleep as an option for getting to Mars. So basically, they'll put people to sleep, slow down their metabolism, get them there, and then speed everything back up because, you're looking at 180 days to get there. That's half a year.
Yeah.
And the amount of stuff you have to bring with you to keep someone alive for half a year, that's a lot.
Unless
you put them to sleep.
Exactly. Now, this is really interesting because, I see the parallels in this story. They're sort of similar to that story we told a couple weeks ago about the new medical procedure of lowering people's body temperature to put them in sort of a stasis, very similar to what they're discussing right here. It sounds like they're giving people, I don't know if it has anything to do with the cold, but it's that very similar sort of suspended animation of, I guess being stuck in place.
Yeah, I don't really know if it's...
Well, it's obviously not that extreme. I mean, the very first line is, during interplanetary transit, the crew would receive low-level electrical impulses to key muscle groups to prevent muscular atrophy. So these people are still functioning human beings. They're not, effectively dead.
Sure. Right. So basically it's called therapeutic torpor. And it's been a theory since the 1980s and reality since 2003. And basically, protocols exist in most major medical centers for inducing therapeutic hypothermia on patients to essentially keep them alive.
So it is hypothermia. So it is a cold element.
That is the way you would do it, I guess. Is you do need to slow everything down.
Yeah, and that's with cold.
Now, maybe they do it with something else. Who the hell knows? It's still theoretical in many ways because the longest they've ever kept someone under like this is 1 week.
This is a little longer than a week that they're talking here.
Exactly. So, we've got a ways to go, but it is a good way because what this does is if you can put them to sleep, they get into Earth's orbit, and then they go to sleep and they wake up in Mars's orbit, you don't need things like exercise gear and galleys and, food and different clothes and water and all that because the person's just there.
Yeah.
So what they're suggesting is that rather than needing 400 tons of stuff to get us from there and back, or from here to there and back, we would only need 220 tons potentially. So what the benefit to that is, a heavy lift launch vehicle weighs less than that. So we're basically able to bring a hell of a lot more with us there.
Yeah.
So that's really kind of cool. And it is a great way to get to Mars, I think.
It's a great way to get to Mars, but I guess, I know it's still in theory and whatever, but is there any talk of getting back? Because I feel like this is something that you'd have to really plan for. You'd wind up having to bring, I guess, as many resources for a single trip out there at normal speed, or actually, I'm not at normal speed, with live active crew. You would just need to bring that amount for both ways.
Right, exactly. But rather than, so if it's 800, tons normally, this would make it 440 tons. And when you start thinking about that, you're talking a significant change in the amount of stuff you need to carry, and it's great. And who knows? For the first few trips, it might just be research, but potentially this turns into we start colonizing it. We start putting people there. And I don't know about you. I don't really want to take. Actually, you know what? I take that back. I would love to go to fucking Mars.
That would be badass, man.
Yeah, that'd be badass. So, anyway, it's years away, but the goal will be to slow people's, their metabolic rate down by cooling them down anywhere from, I think, 89 to 93 degrees, which isn't that much, but it's enough. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I can't wait to see what happens with that.
Yeah, me too. You know what else I can't wait for?
No.
Star Wars.
Oh, yeah, that thing that's happening.
Star Wars is, in production.
I've heard of that. Yeah.
Yeah. So there are a shit ton of rumors going around about what the hell is going on. To run off the list of rumors, I just read a rumor 10 minutes before we started recording that said there's not going to be one Obi-Wan Kenobi movie. There's going to be 3.
An Obi-Wan trilogy.
Yeah, but it's not going to be a trilogy so much as 3 standalone films about Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Okay.
One of them is going to take place on Tatooine, and then 2 of them are going to take place elsewhere in the galaxy.
And are they going to be pulling from expanded universe stuff with this? Because, Obi-Wan has a lot of story about him that's out there, but it's a question of, are they going to be using that, or are they going to try to go back to the drawing board with him? I guess it's a rumor, so no one knows.
Yeah, no one knows, but anything's possible because the expanded universe is now up to Disney to decide. So who the hell knows? But here's what's exciting about this. You know which actors would have said that they'd be open to returning to the Star Wars franchise?
Ewan McGregor?
And?
Oh, please tell me Liam Neeson.
Liam Neeson.
Oh my god, that would be so good.
Now, here's the thing, is these movies are going to take place between episodes 3 and episodes 4. So it's not going to be, Liam Neeson teaching a very young Obi-Wan Kenobi. But what it could be is a lot of Liam Neeson as a ghost.
Yeah, well, he is the guy who figured all that out.
Exactly, but Obi-Wan Kenobi is probably one of the most favorite Jedis of this, other than Luke Skywalker. And what I had read was that originally Lucasfilm wasn't going to make anything about Jedi. They were going to just stick to other kind of characters like Boba Fett and guys like that. But I think they had some vote or whatever, and Obi-Wan Kenobi just got so many votes.
Why would they not make anything about Jedi? Look, because as badass as everyone else is, what is the most memorable thing about Star Wars, especially the most recent ones? The lightsaber battles.
Right. You're right. But I think they just wanted to, introduce other kind of characters. I still would love to see an origin story of Han Solo.
Yeah, and I think we're probably going to... Well, I don't know if we're going to see that, but...
I think we are.
I feel like if they're doing all of this work... It sounds like Star Wars is no longer going to be limited to the big ones. Episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
7, 8, 9.
7, 8, 9, but it's going to be 7, 8, 9 and all these offshoot movies with the Boba Fetts and the Han Solos and the Obi-Wans. So, I don't know. Again, I've brought up my sort of bittersweet feeling about all that because, yes, it's more Star Wars and more Star Wars has to be good. But at the same time, nah, it doesn't really.
Yeah, I'm actually hoping, and this has been something that I've wanted for years and years and years, I'm really hoping for an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Star Wars version.
I would be down with like a live-action Star Wars TV show, and people have been pushing for that for a long, long time.
Oh yeah, and have it take place between episodes 3 and episodes 4, make it really the minor characters, or introduce completely new characters, Yeah. But it's set in this, and maybe you see Darth Vader, but you don't hear him, or if you hear him, he says 1 or 2 lines. It's a lot of just stormtroopers. You see the evolution from the clones to the stormtrooper armor. Maybe we're introduced to, a different, Moff from a different sector. All of that stuff, like a really dark, gritty TV show about the rise of the Empire.
I would be so down for that. And don't forget, like you said with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., that's Disney, that's Marvel, that's also the same company that owns Star Wars now. So it's very possible that we'll see something like that.
And I would love for that to happen, they're
already doing that cartoon.
Yeah, which, I never really watched the Clone Wars cartoon.
I couldn't get past the animation.
Neither could I.
I couldn't do it.
I might try and watch this one again.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll be better. I don't know. But, it's tough. I really want a live-action TV show.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
And that's what everyone wants. Yeah. More Star Wars, but maybe not the big giant stories, but little stories about little characters. Stuff that takes place in that universe that everyone loves so much.
Yeah. So anyway, that's one of the rumors going on. The other rumor that's going on right now is the premise of what the story is of the actual upcoming Star Wars movie I think has been a little bit revealed.
Okay.
And it has to do with Luke Skywalker. And what it appears is that Luke Skywalker is actually evil.
Okay. He does go to the dark side?
Yeah, pretty much. So, according to one source, you remember the evil cyborg character we talked about in one of the first episodes?
The Inquisitor.
Yeah, well, so there's some suggestion that maybe he's not the Inquisitor after all, but that is actually Luke Skywalker. And his half his face is covered by a mask.
Okay.
So this character Kira, I don't really know. The actress's name is Daisy Ridley, plays Kira. And so she goes off to find Luke Skywalker, and she runs into this cyborg. And originally she's like, I don't know you, you're evil, blah, blah, blah. And then he's like, I'm Luke Skywalker. And she's like, all right, cool, I'll join you.
So she would, I guess, be the... So wait, so
apprentice.
Are we saying that he's full-blown Sith in this?
That's what it sounds like.
Okay, that's interesting. You know what Mark Hamill plays really well?
An evil motherfucking character?
He plays evil really well.
Oh, yeah.
So I'd be curious to see it just for that. In terms of how it ties into the whole Star Wars thing, I guess I'm open to it, but I would need a little more explanation than just he's evil.
It's tricky because in some ways, like Luke Skywalker, he's the hero. But in other ways, it really kind of makes sense because the Skywalker family are a bunch of weak bitches and can't prevent the fall to the dark side.
Yeah. But the whole point of the original trilogy is that Luke does.
What, fall to the dark side?
No, he overcomes that and brings balance to the Force and whatnot.
Yeah, no, and that's very true, but it kind of makes sense now because the image of the original cyborg is of this cyborg thing holding the helmet of Darth Vader. Why would anyone but Luke Skywalker have some sort of a sentimental feeling towards that? Further, why would anyone but Luke Skywalker have that, since, he was there with Darth Vader?
Yeah, it's a theory. I guess if you look at it that way, it's a pretty strong theory, but is that the only thing is there more evidence than that?
No, I basically, they're talking about that this is a big rumor, that this is actually the case. And, I don't know. I would not be surprised if that's what it is.
If that's what it is, I'm very curious to see what they do with it, because that's totally not where I saw it going. That's way off the deep end in terms of where I thought the story might go. I mean, granted, I haven't put a ton of thought into it. I kind of want it to all be fresh as it happens, but if that's what's happening...
Yeah, no, it should be very interesting. He's a black figure sitting on a throne wearing a cloak. His boots are similar to the ones Anakin Skywalker had in Revenge of the Sith. And basically, she thinks she's there to meet Luke Skywalker, but instead meets this monster. And bada bing, bada boom, it happens to actually be,
Well, they have to tell that story then in terms of how Luke Skywalker becomes this, if that's the case.
Yeah. Now, there is some suggestion that if this is not true, if it's not, Luke Skywalker, then the actor Adam Driver, whatever character he plays is probably going to be this guy. But if Adam Driver doesn't play this evil character, then it could be Luke Skywalker. And that's really kind of cool.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting take on it.
Yeah, I'm very intrigued by it. In other news, John Williams, the composer,
he's best back. Composer in the world. Of course he's back. Yep.
I'm just saying he's back. I guess there was a small part of me that said, no, he's not going to be willing to do it because it's not George Lucas. But then I went, no, he'll do it because it's Star Wars.
Definitely do it.
Yeah.
It is one of the most iconic pieces of music in the history of cinema.
With you on that.
Yeah, he's got to be back. And I'm happy to hear that he is. That would be devastating if he wasn't.
Yeah. I agree. So anyway, it should be interesting. There's a whole shit ton of rumors coming out. I don't know if this is true or not. It seems plausible, but you never really know. I don't know why Luke Skywalker would go from being, having all his appendages minus his hand to needing a face mask, but, maybe he really wanted to be like his dad.
Yeah, right.
So, anyway,
maybe Obi-Wan came back and chopped off all his limbs and threw him into a volcano. Yeah, get some, Luke.
But yeah, I mean, we'll probably find out what happens there. And if it is another trilogy, then you can imagine that there will be some sort of a, Luke Skywalker is saved kind of thing.
Oh, well, you would think that, but who knows? I mean, if they take that approach to begin with, but we'll see. I mean, it's going to be very interesting.
So
I just keep getting more and more giddy about this movie.
I know. Part of me is nervous, but the majority of me is like, let's just do this.
You have to be nervous. They are holding your childhood in their hands. So what they do with it is, I mean, it's a big deal. It's like when I saw Die Hard 5 was the most painful experience. One of the most painful and heartbreaking experiences that I've ever been through.
Well, at least you've admitted that it is actually a movie.
It is a movie, and as much as I would like to deny it, and as much as I'd like to pretend that it never happened, it happened. It's horrible. Yeah, and that's all I'm going to say on it.
Yeah, I'm with you. So
let's talk about aliens.
Yeah, so it's funny actually. Going back, one series that really does aliens a lot more than pretty much any other series is Star Trek, because there's so many different kinds, and they do it in Star Wars, but in Star Trek, definitely. And what I find so interesting is I actually just started watching Star Trek Deep Space Nine. I couldn't finish Star Trek Enterprise with Jean-Luc Picard. I like my TV shows to, from one episode to lead into the next episode, to lead into the next one was a big story. And Next Generation just wasn't that. But Deep Space Nine is apparently going to be that. So I started watching that. And it's just seeing how every single alien is humanoid.
Yeah.
Is kind of funny and crazy to think about.
It is. Yeah, I mean, but it definitely makes cheaper for casting.
And that's very true.
Casting and animation don't have to work as hard.
Yeah, so but let's think about it. If there are aliens out there, let's just get that out of the way. But when we meet them, are they going to be humanoid? Are they going to resemble humans, or are they going to be entirely different? And I have two theories on it. Part one of my theory is that they'll be entirely different. And maybe some of them will walk on four legs. Maybe some of them will walk on, four legs, but standing upright with another two arms for arms. Maybe some will have wings. But then I pause and I go, okay, that's my first part of my theory. But then I go to the second part, which is, well, yes, but standing upright makes sense.
Yeah. Because
now you have your two arms to use tools.
Well, unless they have multiple limbs.
Well, yeah, no, that's very true. So if they have 6 or 8 limbs, they could stand on 4 and use 4.
Yeah.
Or stand on 2 and use 4.
But I see what you're saying, in that the humanoid archetype makes sense, especially, I mean, as, look at us, we're at the top of the food chain. We got here one way, it's our intelligence, but also the way we, our bodies and whatnot.
Right, no, for sure. And that's kind of the thing is like, don't get me wrong, we're when we go to other planets, and if we do run into other aliens, they're gonna they might not be all humanoid. There probably is a version of a horse on another planet. There's probably a version of a dinosaur on another planet. Maybe not, but maybe there is.
Space raptors.
But I think the key detail here is, are intelligent aliens going to be 2 arms, 2 legs, and a head?
Yeah. And that's a good question. I guess we really don't have any basis for that, because, as you said, as you didn't say, but we are the only recorded, at least in our memories, species of alien, or species of bipedal humanoid geniuses that exist.
Right. No, that's very true. Yeah, it's tricky because, there. So basically, 500 million years ago, there was the Burgess Shale. I'm going to and finding research to kind of make these arguments. And during that time, there were a lot of different kind of bodies.
Okay.
Different body shapes, different, maybe 2 legs, maybe 4 legs, maybe who the hell knows number of legs. Now, and some of them just don't exist today. Most of them probably don't exist today. And that's kind of the big deal here is on Earth, maybe standing upright is a dominant trait, but on maybe another planet, being able to fly is the dominant trait. Mm-hmm. So maybe on another planet where maybe the ground is covered in this smog that is always there.
Well, yeah,
the dominant species
would have been the top of the food chain by adapting to, or by evolving to the point where they could survive its habitat.
Exactly. So maybe they're a species that flies, and yeah, and that's the thing. It's all very tricky to think about, because part of it is who the hell knows? Because we have no idea what aliens are out there. So how can we even make an argument?
And you know what? As much as the whole bipedal humanoid thing makes sense for us, is this the ideal body shape for a being? I don't think so. I think, if we have a lot of limitations, we have a certain top speed, we have a certain, we're grounded, we can't fly, which other species can fly. We have a lot of limitations that we've succeeded despite them. Now, the question is there going to be an ultimate being out there, or is it going to be similar to us, flawed, but succeeded regardless because it had the tools to overcome the flaws?
Well, no, that's very true, but let's think about it in another way. Sure, a horse can run faster than a human.
Yes.
A monkey can climb higher than a human. A shark can swim faster than a human.
Yes.
But a human can run, climb, and swim.
Yes. Can do all three.
So, right. So that might be the thing. Really the reason that the ability to stand on one's 2 hind legs, and that's really where it starts from, is the ability to see over tall grass. Mm-hmm. The ability, it's a dominance thing. You are taller than something else. But that height gives you a real advantage.
Yeah.
You're able to see farther. And that's also why our eyes went from the sides of our heads, as in the horse, to the front of our heads. With the eyes on the side of your heads, you don't need to see in front of you. You need to see what's going on around you because you're really not turning your head. You can kind of turn it, but you really can't turn all that much. Whereas humans, we can turn our heads really quite simply, and we can turn our bodies really quite simply.
Yeah.
And now we can see farther. We can see over it. And if our eyes are faced forward and our arms are faced forward because we're grabbing things in front of us, well, then it makes sense to have a head and the head and the shape of the head, because that's the brain would evolve to be able to use those organs. And so, like you said, is the bipedal humanoid body the optimal body?
Yeah, I mean, for us on Earth so far, the answer is yes. But the cosmos, I don't know.
Right. So then is then there a so here's a question: is humanoid the proper, the ideal form, except for other examples? So is it possible that you or I could grow wings, and that gives me an advantage on a planet with a lot of smog on the ground? Or does it not matter because, once again, we have planes now, and by this point, intelligent life says we can go above the smog.
Yeah.
I don't
But
really
that
know.
comes down to intelligence. That's not our body type. So if an intelligent being is not even humanoid, but has 12 legs and wings, but is still intelligent.
But what is intelligence?
Yeah, well, I guess that...
No, but You're very right. So let's say it has wings and 12 legs, but 2 of those happen to be arms with hands.
Yeah.
And that allows them to manipulate tools. Because if it's all just, if it's like, if it's an 8-hooved animal with wings.
Oh, no. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, let's not forget about our opposable thumbs and our hand dexterity and what allows us to create the things that we create that have allowed us to soar above the clouds and has, allowed us to dive deep beneath the sea.
Mm-hmm. No, it's very true. So I think I don't know anymore if it's really bipedal or if it's you need the thumb.
I think case in point, thumbs.
Yeah, the ability to manipulate a tool is required to be a space alien.
Yeah.
To be another alien, to be an alien on another planet, but not try to go to space, you just need to be another alien. That's going to do what it's going to do, and it's impossible to say that we have millions of species of different aliens on this planet, and there's none elsewhere. So get past that point. That's what they're going to be, other types. But are there going to be the intelligent ones that have the ability to get to space? I think what we'll see is they'll have the ability to have an opposable thumb.
It's a real mindfuck to think about it because we only know what we know. So to think about another species as being something else, I mean, it's no wonder that the human race and so many different, fictional TV shows and movies and whatnot have chosen the humanoid form as their go-to for aliens. Because it's the most... When we think of intelligence, what do we think of? The human being.
Right.
But that's only our mindset of it. So, I mean, it really requires you to sort of open your mind and think really out there. And really, even that thought that you arrive at may be way off.
Yeah. No, you're definitely right. So, I have no idea, like you're pretty much saying, but I think that the ability to use tools and the ability to, to have that sensory nervous system and be able to see and survive in a hostile environment lends itself to a humanoid. But if not humanoid, then at least bare minimum you have to be able to use tools.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you there. I mean,
and that requires a thumb.
No species is going to come fully equipped with everything. So being able to build is really a bare minimum for anything that hopes to strive past its own its own borders.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I mean, DNA is DNA, but it's the environments that kind of dictate what genetic modifications are going to survive. Now, there is one other theory, and that theory is going back to the movie Prometheus. Perhaps we all come from the same DNA, exactly like how the engineer sacrifices himself, and his DNA goes on to become humans. Mm-hmm. That's a possibility. If that's the case, then we would all be somewhat humanoid.
Yeah, and that's an interesting theory on the matter, and it's entirely possible.
Well, anything's possible, If there is an alien species out there that is greater than us, there's no reason to believe that they wouldn't have, prepared us, quote unquote. By prepared us, I mean literally make us.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is kind of godlike, but whatever.
Well, now we're thinking way over the heads of we're smart for ourselves, but this is going outside of even human territory.
Yeah. So I doubt it'll happen in either of our lifetimes or ever, really. Who the hell knows? But aliens, they exist, I think, and they probably at least have thumbs. So yeah, it's funny. I was reading an article that suggested the reason why we never will see aliens or have not seen aliens is not because they don't exist, is because they're so far away, communication's virtually impossible. Yeah. Like to send radio waves there. So it's like, let's say they're 1,000 light years away, and to send radio waves there, let's just say, and I don't know the math, let's just say it takes 2,000 years to get there. So we send a radio wave, and they send a radio wave back. In those 2,000 years, we could have blown ourselves up.
Yeah, exactly. Well, but that's the limitation of our current, of current technology. If we can, we're still discovering crap. We'll have a solution to all that stuff. I'm confident about it because I don't know. because we're human beings and we figure shit out. That's what we do.
Oh, definitely. But if I had to trust my gut, I think the first aliens that we ever witness won't actually be alive. I think it will be the case of they sent a message out and we find that message, but by the time, and we reply, but we never hear back from them because they have destroyed themselves.
Yeah.
I think that just makes most logical sense as what would happen.
Yeah, I can see that.
So yeah. Anyway, we could probably ramble about this for a while, but I think we're at a pretty good point to end the show. Thank you all very much for listening. This is the 11th episode of FTL Radio. As always, if you are an independent content creator, or even if you're not an independent content creator, because I am not going to segregate, and you'd like us to review anything, whether that's a movie, a short film, short TV show, a book, a comic book, whatever, send it to us at info@ftlradio.com, and we'll be sure to check it out. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, twitter.com/FTLradio, facebook.com/FTLradio. We are on iTunes and Stitcher. iTunes, please leave us 5 stars. Stitcher, please leave us stars.
We like stars. We're
like
sci-fi.
stars.
We're a sci-fi podcast. We're a fan of stars.
Exactly. And we will be back next Monday. Well, when you listen to it, Tuesday or Wednesday. But we will be back next week with the 12th episode of FTL Radio. So once again, thank you for listening.
Keep it trucking. We out.